Quick run through of our final submission for our comps. Just as a note disclaimer, this video is working with our wireframes. This is referencing the final comp stage, which should have all color and imagery and main text added in there. So prior to exporting your frames or creating your link, please ensure that you have done some testing on the site. Someone else has run through your app, I should say, someone else has run through the app to ensure that all edits have been integrated, everything is linked. And then you do create an updated link once you're ready for that. But we're first going to export our frames. So you can hold Shift down and select the frames that you want. And you would say File, Export Selected. But because I just have this extra components one, I'll just leave it on there. We don't need it. We don't need to use it if it's, we don't need it. So File, Export All Artboards. Go ahead and you can save this as a PNG or a JPEG and they'll all plunk within a designated folder. Just gonna press cancel as I already have them all set. So when it gets down to creating our presentation, ensuring we're doing that from InDesign, and please ensure that you're not taking screenshots from XD, you're exporting those as PNGs and JPEGs, and that's what we're going to work with. So when we're creating a presentation, let's create in a standard size of 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17. Preferred, personally for me, I like landscape format. So we're just gonna go ahead and press OK. So once we get this in here, let's go ahead and start adding some frames. So I'm just going to go ahead and just freeform add a box. You can use your regular square tool or you can use your rectangle frame tool. I'm going to press Command D and I'm going to plunk that first onboarding screen in there and press open. Just going to use those content quick reference tools to ensure it's in there. So now, oops. You can copy paste or command shift drag if you want to dupe it out. Pressing D again and onboarding. So if I just plunk my frames in there like this, there's a couple things wrong. First off, I cannot physically see when I make a PDF where this screen actually starts or ends. So ensuring that you either have a lightly shaded background that would build contrast for your actual site, or you can go ahead and add a very small key line or border around those. So now I have something to give it a little bit more of a guide here. Oops. And sign up screen. So now I'm just going to use my margins to make sure everything's popped in there, and my alignment tools to make sure everything is even, everything is placed intentionally. We can also group those up and use our alignment tools, and we can align to page so we can vertically and horizontally center them in. So there's kind of step 1 and 2, bringing the frames in there, or the first few, I should say, along with a key line or, like I said, a shaded background. But we also want to make sure that we're properly labeling our pages. So I can do a main heading here of onboarding, or called onboarding, I should say. And then just as an extra little note, maybe making it a little bit smaller, I'm going to put in the book weight. I'm not going to put in caps, and we can just say onboarding 1. Again, Option Shift Click and Drag. Option Shift Click and Drag, that helps duplicate. We can call this onboarding 3 or sign up. So once I get all of my frames in there, ensuring that we still add any notes or annotations for anything that you feel that might not be clear. Things should be mostly clear when we get to the comps phase of things, but there's anything functionality wise that you feel might need a little bit of direction, just go ahead and add it in as a note. So just for the purpose of the tutorial, imagining we've got all of our screens in there. We also have a title page that has the project name. We have your own name, who is presented to, and the date. And last but not least, at the very end, what we want to do is we want to add our prototype link. So we're going to jump back over to XD and we're going to go over to our share tab. So a couple things before, yes, we will have everything all linked from our prototype stage of things. But just to be sure, and just so you're only including the frames that you want, I just want you to go ahead and click on that very first screen. You can see when you click on the top of these artboards here, we get this little gray tab that has a home icon. You can go ahead and click that first one and it's going to highlight blue. And now you can see it's taking all the frames that are included or that are linked to this flow. So let's go back over to that share tab. We want to make sure that it's design review. We want to make sure anyone with the link, and we might need to update that link if we had feedback from either the wireframe process or feedback from our testers, and then ensuring we create an updated link so we know everything is up to date and not an old version. Go ahead, click that lock there to copy the link. I'm just going to pop back over to InDesign, grab my type tool, create a text box, and I'm going to say Command V. So I'm just going to style this the same just because I'm a sucker for consistency and look. Making sure that it's centered as well. So now what I'm going to do is we still have that link copied, or you can go ahead and copy it again. So Command C. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new hyperlink. From new hyperlink, because it's pretty much aware that it's already a hyperlink, or it just takes the copy that you've highlighted and plugs it in there. I'm just going to go ahead, press V just for the purpose of today. And we're going to press OK. So once we do that, it changes to a blue tone and it has an underline. I believe that's by default. But if it doesn't do that, just make sure that it works when you go ahead to test. Now we're going to say File, Export. And what we're going to do with our file export, we're going to ensure that we save that. We want to make sure it's a PDF, but we want to make sure that it is an interactive PDF. So this is where we usually are defaulted by Adobe PDF Print. We need to change this to say Adobe Interactive. Just going to call this presentation example. Press save. So now again, we're going to get a menu that comes up that says export to interactive PDF, compression, making sure it's not on minimum or low, and make sure that your resolution is not 72, or else we're going to end up with a really low res presentation and I'm not going to be able to grade it. So making sure that these settings are higher than potentially the default, which is probably low. And then we go ahead, that's okay, as a CMYK, and export that out. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and I just want to show you what that's going to look like when we go ahead and click on that link. So there's our kind of faked out title page. There's our example for our frames, and there's our link. So now you can see that when I hover my mouse over that, I can actually see the link pop up.